What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. And boy, oh boy, got something cooking here a little bit again. You heard it in the intro. This is a Jose Butto podcast. It was from the start. It was last year. It always has been. It always will be. Jose Butto looked great. The Mets take a series from the hot Kansas City Royals, which is big. Big. Mets have won 7 of their last 10, playing some good baseball, tight games. Edwin Diaz closing it out for his first save of the year at Citi Field, which was great. Francisco Lindor knows how to hit righty, still doesn't know how to hit lefty. There's a lot to talk about in this series. I was at the stadium on Friday night as well. James, just a little tracker on you. How are we doing? Where are you at? What country are you in right now?
Still Morocco. Just got back from camping in the Sahara Desert a few hours ago. I still have sand in my ears and my hair, like all over my clothes. I'm wearing desert pants right now. You guys can't see.
What are desert pants?
Desert pants.
Okay.
Let me see again.
YouTube audience, you got to see what James's hotel room looks like as well. Oh, those are desert pants. Yeah,
they're good desert pants. But yeah, I don't know. The Mets keep winning while I'm here, so I might just have to start a new life for myself in the desert. I felt comfortable there. I rode a camel. Like it was all working. It was all coming together. But had long bus rides there and back. Watched replays of the first 2 games of the series. Watched Game 3 live, the Doc ceremony, and just an amazing series for the Mets again. Like everything that we thought was going wrong with this team a week and a half ago is now just suddenly going right. There's timely hitting. There's good defense. There's great starting pitching because of Jose Butto. It was an awesome series. And this team is really, really, really fucking fun right now.
Yeah, they're playing some solid baseball. They are still, I think, lackluster offensively. And that's a big reason being that Francisco Lindor still really just doesn't know what's going on with his left-handed swing. And I think that's something that we will address a little bit more in this episode. We have to talk about it. What's going on there, what to do, all that kind of stuff. Because now it's becoming a little bit of a problem, I will say. I love Francisco Lindor. I think he's so good, but there's a conversation to be had about maybe not hitting left-handed anymore for the season or just for a little bit of time. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but go.
The vibes are really good right now in Mets world. I'm going to be a part of that group that's not going to say anything. I'm going to take the wins. We're going to talk about what happened, but we're not going to talk about the team as a whole right now because I see there are some people who are like, the Mets are, and then you can fill in the word. The Mets are getting hot. The Mets are back, whatever they're saying. I won't be one of those people to say it, but we can just kind of here as a podcast, I think we can acknowledge quietly, what we're thinking.
Yeah, there's possibly a word with 4 letters. The Mets might be. They could be. It's possible they are. We thought they might have been early before the season. Then we thought they definitely were not when the season began. And now they could be. They might be. And I think the win on Friday was kind of the night where that was felt. And I know you were in the ballpark that night. You had a pretty funny tweet talking about the massive crowd that made that Citi Field a big Friday night for the Mets. So just tell me about the vibes in the park because that was the first Friday night game of the season.
Hot take. On a game like that, God, do I love when the stadium's empty. I just get to walk around and there's no lines for anything. Get to go to the bathroom. You want a beer. It takes you 2 seconds. And I love you guys, but like sometimes a thing that drives me insane is not when it's packed, but it's when it's packed and people are like, oh, I'm going to stand in the middle of the concourse. I'm going to stand at the top of the section and not move and just be in the way. That's when it gets annoying. So hot take. Kind of nice sometimes when the ballpark's a little bit empty, especially when it's not a big game, like a Friday night in April against the Kansas City Royals. Not necessarily a big game. The vibes were dead. There was nothing going on in this game. One, didn't wear the black jerseys. That felt weird. I don't know why they weren't wearing black jerseys on Friday night. Also, looks like the DJ thing on Friday nights might be over because there was no DJ out in the outfield. Also, I didn't notice the Queen's crew. So I'm a little bit confused because fan engagement. We've heard that word a lot. I'm going to say it a lot this year. There was little to none on Friday night. That being said, though, I had a blast, and it made it even better that the Mets won. Got to hang out at the K Corner. Finally had my first $3 Coors Light, which I will promote the hell out of that, even though we're not with the team. $3 beers at the K Corner. They weren't playing music for the first 45 minutes that I was there, so it was awkwardly quiet, and they only had 2 bartenders working for the entire bar, which, again, I don't know how that's possible. The TVs were off. Like, there are things me and you have talked about before. Like, you want to be a bar TV consultant. You're like, yes, I want to tell you what games, what channels to put on the TV. They desperately needed that. And they also just needed maybe a little bit of a younger crowd behind the bar as well. It was seasoned veterans back there. But that being said, had a great time. Game was fun. I caught my first t-shirt of the year, made an incredible snag. I was sitting down. It was like the 6th or 7th inning, and I was talking to my friends about how great I am at getting t-shirts at a game, and you've seen it in person. A magnet when it comes to the t-shirts. All of a sudden, one gets shot up into the 300s. Shout out Will, by the way. Shout out Will Lupica. Gave us free tickets, me and my friends, to the game. Shout out to him. Really appreciate you. I
What's
owe
the
you a
man?
beer at a game. T-shirt just out of the corner of my eye comes up. I just stand up, snag it, stick it with my right hand, right in front of my friends, right in front of a girl sitting behind us, and everyone was like, "Oh, that was a really impressive catch." And granted, that was with a few Coors Lights in me, so props to me. Had a great night and great win for the Mets too. Vibes were down, but the team played really well and got to see the Francisco Lindor standing ovation, which was kind of not existent because there wasn't that many people, but the people in the stadium acknowledged it, and everyone seemed to be very focused and front about like, we want to cheer for Francisco Lindor, which I think is cool.
Acknowledge in the stadium also, you didn't watch, acknowledge on the broadcast. Gary was talking about it, just about like it caught wildfire on social media and hundreds of thousands of people were involved in talking about this, and nice to see it. And Lindor also seemed to very much appreciate it. And
A
now,
little bit, yeah.
yeah, and again with Lindor, we're at the point now where I don't think he's very much pressing anymore. He still swung at a few bad pitches this weekend, but every hitter is going to swing at bad pitches. The approach is not as bad as it was, I think, the first few games of the season, and his strikeout rate is like 10%. It's really not, it's like a swing and miss issue with him anymore. It's just the fact that when he has that left-handed swing, he's either behind on the ball or he's popping it up or it's a dribbler. There's no mechanics going there with the left side right now. But
well, in the first swing of that game too, after he got the ovation, he had a foul ball home run into the Coca-Cola corner, and when it left the bat, I was like, oh my god, we did it, we fixed him, we gave him an ovation, he's back. And then he proceeded to like have a couple lazy pop-ups, like you said, with the left-handed swing. It's so long right now. It's so long. There's no aggressiveness. And he's doing that weird thing that we've seen the last few years where like his hand comes off the bat, like weirdly at the end of his swing. I don't know. I can't break it down. I don't know what that's all about, but I'd really consider almost swinging right-handed only.
worst case scenario, though, like the fact that it didn't exactly spurn Lindor to get hot immediately, the rest of the team seemed to feel it. Steve Cohen tweeted about it. The beat reporters were talking about it. Carlos Mendoza was talking about it. Everyone was like, it was cool to see like the fan base be positive. Like there weren't that many fans there, but again, just the fact that that Friday game was fun. The fact that Salvador Perez hits a home run early, which had to send a shiver down your spine to see the ball off Salvador Perez's back go over the fence in Citi Field on a not the warmest night, but like offense comes right back and gets him. We had multiple 2-out rallies, one with Nimmo and Bader, who Bader's kind of swinging a good bat right now. He was like by happenstance the hero on Sunday, but he's like hitting a lot of good ground ball singles and then being like using his athleticism not to try and take second base on singles, but to steal some bases and to score from second on singles. So it's like that he's doing things that are going to keep Harrison Bader on the field. And this the whole Harrison Bader thing, like him. And it's also funny because Sunday it was, I think, the first Brandon Nimmo start in center field of the year, maybe the second Brandon Nimmo start in center field of the year, and he had a pure Canseco. So just a weird situation where like, it is nice having a really good center field defender. Like that, not that Nimmo's not a good center field defender, but just like a stud center field defender. But back to Friday, also 2-out rally early in the game. Baty started it, got RBIs by Jeff and DJ. DJ Stewart's hot. So no more DJs at the ballpark. Us and them all gone from fan engagement this year, but our DJ on the field still ripping. And then I loved watching Sevy pitch in the start because like it was a game where he didn't have his best stuff, and if you're saying it like the crowd like was kind of dead. TV, it seemed like people were still cheering, like I could hear it, but like he was so jacked up to get through this game, get some outs, and get his first win at Citi Field. And there was something with him and Manaea on Saturday where pitches were moving less. I don't know if the weather was bad or if it was like cold.
It was so windy, windy.
All right, so windy, a little dry, hard to grip the ball. That makes sense then. But just only allowed one hit, but the Royals got 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, which their team doesn't really walk a ton and does strike out a good bit. But the fact they had 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, again, not the best stuff. And he threw like no fastballs at all to right-handed hitters. So I thought it was really weird in this one. It was all cutters, sweepers, sliders, and lefties who was just only throwing fastballs. Like that, I guess, was a game plan. It was a plan of attack because it was so stark what he was doing versus each side of the plate. But no one had any damage. And then there was that great pop-off when he got through the 5th inning. Because he definitely seemed like he wanted to get that win. The Mets had a few-run lead. And Bobby Witt comes up with 2 men on. I think it's the tying run. And we talked about Bobby Witt in the preview of this series. That he, and Mets fans, you guys saw it firsthand this weekend. Offense, defense, bases, like he's become one of the best players in baseball. I might be ready to give him the mantle of best shortstop in baseball already. Just take it from Lindor and Seager because there's nothing he does bad right now. Nothing he even does that well. Like everything is elite. But Sevy on a 3-2 sweeper, K's him up, dice him up, dirty pitch, and he just screams, just gets so jacked up in the 5th inning of a game in April against the Royals. Like that's, I feel like we haven't had like emotion like that from pitchers in a long time with this team because we, again, last few years it's been DeGrom, it's been Scherzer, it's been Verlander, guys who are studs, almost all of them Hall of Famers, if not all of them one day. And it's just like this reverence on the mound. But now with Severino, and then also with Butto on Sunday, you see this, for lack of a better term, machismo from these pitchers. Like some people really getting into the game and really down to just get some big outs when you need them.
I mean, these guys are playing. Obviously, they want to win. Like I'm not saying like these guys don't want to win, but they are playing for something different than those guys like Scherzer and Verlander are, who have been there, who have been great. They've had their big moments. They're like, I've pitched in a World Series. I can't pop off in April. That's not going to happen. But for Severino, for Butto, for Manaea, for basically everybody in this rotation, they are pitching for their next job. Like most of these guys are not going to be guaranteed starting pitchers in Major League Baseball next year unless they continue to pitch well. So for a guy like Severino, like you said, get through those 5 innings to get the win in this game means a lot for him, especially on a night when the temperature and the climate and the wind just really wasn't in his favor to grind that one out. It was a grinder. He grinded out that start because he wasn't necessarily efficient, like you said. He did get into some trouble. He walked some guys. They put some good hits on the ball, but the Mets were able to get out of it. He only gave up 1 run, and then they just kept chipping away too. Like Brett Baty is a good baseball player, roped it over Kyle Isbell's head in center field. That really broke the game open. He's just having so much more fun. It's infectious, the energy that he showed on the field. They showed it even on Sunday when Lindor got a hit. Baty's yelling at the dugout, screaming at him when they're shaking hands after the game, doing like the high fives. He's joking around. He has like high fives and handshakes with all these players. This is the kind of vibes that I think the Mets had been missing. And it's not because these guys weren't friendly. It's not because they didn't have the good vibes, but it felt like the younger players who are supposed to be these spark plugs like Baty and Alvarez were just a little bit less comfortable, where now they're totally like, oh my God, I'm a part of this team. I'm a part of the success. This is so much fun. I love this.
And there's confidence. I tweeted it because I was rewatching the game on Saturday morning. Before Baty got that double, he was like grinning, like he was smiling in the batter's box. Like he was excited. He got on second base and he's like sticking his tongue out. I was like, like people are freaking out. The ladies are loving Brett Baty on Twitter too. Like everybody,
of course,
he's the new young Mets heartthrob. Like everybody is in on Brett Baty, and there's literally no reason not to be. This game was 3 RBIs, 3 more hits. Like it's nonstop. And there were even some plays on Saturday, I guess, because this game's basically over now, just transition the next day where
Mets win.
Yeah, Mets win. Another game is here. So we're so back on this cadence of win, lose, win, lose,
cool
win.
with it. I'm in.
It feels so natural too. It feels amazing. It feels like it's supposed to be when life was good and fun before how awful last year was. But just Baty's like reaching out for like line drives at third base, like not making snow cone catches, and Brady's like hitting hard ground balls that are not going through the hole. I'm like, that's weird. Like those are supposed to be called, or those are supposed to be hits. Like now it feels weird to see him not come through, and he keeps moving up the batting order. He came into pinch hit on Sunday, and he got a standing ovation from the Citi Field crowd.
Yeah.
We're just,
and he got a hit.
Yes, and he got and again like a total bullshit blooper, and it just drops in. The game also changed when he came in because he got that bloop hit, Mets challenge. Then he got the walk that wound up being a big part of the total walk rally that wound up winning them the game. My New York accent just came out so hard in that the walk rally,
yeah, big time.
Holy crap, the walk rally, jeez, but. Now you could just feel it. And it's like as Francisco Alvarez has kind of moved into a cold stretch here, and it seems like he's just getting the shit beat out of him behind the plate. Carlos Mendoza has even mentioned it a few times. Now, the big story of game 2, I think we want to talk about is kind of weirdly Omar Narvaez and this weird defensive thing happening with him. But Baty is almost just like the sea has saw it, and now Baty's the confident guy. Baty's the one smacking the ball over the park, and Alvarez is the one who's been kind of slumping now for 2 weeks. But again, this is baseball. These are young players. We've said this to you guys as we go through. Like we love like hyping Francisco Alvarez, and we're going to do it on social media until we're blue in the face because he's fun and he's the king and he's Lisan Al-Gaib. Got my desert brain, but he's just like him just being like a little bit better than league average, and Baty being league average is massive wins this season. And the way we're playing right now is like we are moving towards that at a nice pace, and that is where I want to be.
Yeah. So talking about the elephant in the room with Narvaez now on Saturday, there is a narrative happening in Mets world that maybe our Narvaez is a bit of a detriment to this team on the pitching side, because if you look at the Mets pitchers ERAs with Narvaez behind the plate, and I think it even dates back to last year and then this season, Alvarez, I think they're like a 2.2 or a 2.4 ERA with him behind the plate. With Narvaez, it's a 4.4, a 2 full runs higher. And
Narvaez this year is 5.17, and Alvarez is about 2.2 after Sunday.
Okay, so it's even higher then. So The baseball brain in me, the just like not thinking about it smart person wise, I think that there's a huge difference. Like just knowing that pitchers are more comfortable throwing to certain catchers. Francisco Alvarez is better defensively. We know how hard he works back there. We know how much he was working with all these pitchers individually. This is not a shot at Omar Narvaez by any means. It's more of a positive for Francisco Alvarez. But the baseball guy brain tells me, yes, there is something here. The analytical stat, not trying to think too much into it, brain goes, this is just kind of a small sample, unlucky type thing, where how much of a difference does it really make? But baseball guy brain can't help but think that there is something there to it. Like, again, Scherzer, Verlander, all those guys had glowing reviews on Alvarez. Again, not a shot at Narvaez, but I think that's really important when you're pitching to feel comfortable with the guy that you have behind the plate. It seems like pitchers are super comfortable with Francisco.
Another part of it, just to throw a little like stat nerd wrinkle into it, is that Narvaez has been exclusively catching Adrian Hauser this year, or Hauser's been
Okay.
exclusively throwing Narvaez. And as the team is stated right now, I would probably say comfortably he's the worst pitcher in the rotation. So I think
Yeah.
that will inflate the numbers, especially the game where he got his tits lit by the Braves. So I think that's going to be part of it. Like that's going to, in a small sample, like you said, we have here, like that's going to inflate an ERA where like it looks over 5. Oh my God, so ugly. But when that one really bad start happens, that if like you take that start out, the ERA is probably in the low 4s or maybe even the high 3s.
And also, even yesterday, too, with Manaea, let's talk about his start because he didn't pitch well, but I don't think he pitched as bad as his line showed you because Marte dropped that one fly ball, which you can't do that. You have to make that play. There is no excuse for that type of error. Then you had Brandon Nimmo, who went to go rob the ball in center field, like you said earlier, clanked off his glove, went over the wall. There was 2 outs in that inning that could have been made, should have been made, that ended up extending the inning even more. And I don't even think you get the chance for that Brandon Nimmo play to happen if Starling Marte actually catches that fly ball. So he got a little bit of bad luck, and it's even to Narvaez's fault. Like that's going to inflate what's going on there. But at the same time, I don't know. It was a weird start. You could tell Manaea didn't have it. He definitely didn't pitch well, didn't look as sharp as he had in the first few starts, but he got unlucky as well.
It's also frustrating with the Marte play because like Marte has attitude in the field and it's kind of the way he's always played. And he's gotten to the highest level of baseball and had a very good career. So it's hard to chastise a guy at this point, but it's just, he doesn't get fully under the ball. He doesn't catch with 2 hands. And it's just like, and he looks like, it's not that he looks mad when he doesn't make the play. It just looks like, shucks. But it's like, the ball just clanks off the edge of your glove. Like you couldn't catch a fly ball and it kind of opened the floodgates on this rally in a game where you took an early lead. And he was a part of that too. He was hitting the ball very hard. He was on base. He scored the run. And the Mets were moving. It kind of felt like after the Friday night vibes that with Manaea, who had to this point been the Mets' best pitcher of the season and taking an early lead, you're like, okay, let's win another game. Like let's have a shot for a sweep here. But I want to talk about Manaea a little bit because we were very high on Manaea at the last couple starts. We were very even keeled about him through the offseason, but I think that this game was kind of a good lesson for Mets fans. This was another desert brain take. I caught this one in the Sahara.
Let's hear it.
Sean Manaea is kind of like a straw house when he pitches, and I kind of want to take. It's like a big bad wolf analogy. It's because when you look at pitchers, you kind of want to. We always talk about this. That like we just talked about Severino. Like you don't have your best stuff, and you still gritted your teeth and got through a really good game. And you have different ways to get guys out. Like Severino was, again, he didn't use any right-handed fastballs. He was using them all lefties. Steph, against righties, he was dropping cutters and sweepers, and he was using lefties for the changeup, and he had the slider against both sides. It was a really good start. A lot of different weapons. He was able to mix and match and get through what he had to get through. Whereas Manaea kind of has one rhythm, one method he uses to get through guys. It's that fastball that runs in on guys, the sweeper that comes off it, and the changeup that he can mix in against the righties. And a night like similar to Friday where it's very windy, it's cold, and you can't really grip the ball as much. Severino, just like Manaea, just like Severino on Friday, all of his movement down every single pitch. He was getting less horizontal break, and his whole game is horizontal break. So when he's getting less horizontal break, he had to make an adjustment in this game where he was no longer pitching inside to the righties. Now he was just trying to pick off the low and outside corner. When you're trying to pick off that low and outside corner, that kind of makes that sweeper a little bit less competitive because now instead of like dropping back foot on these guys and really scaring the right-handed hitters, you're just kind of aiming for that same low inside spot and you're trying to get them to swing over it
the other way.
Yeah. Exactly, which was happening a lot in this game. So it's Manaea, if it's on, it's on. If atmospheric conditions are good, I'm confident in him. But it's just he's one of these guys where it's just like he kind of just has one way to do it. And that's why to this point, Sean Manaea's career, his ceiling's always been a little bit capped because if he can't do the things that he's really good and comfortable doing, there's not really a plan B, C, or D for Sean Manaea to get through 6 quality innings. Whereas again, a guy like Severino or Sunday a guy like Butto or some other pitchers in the league, there's going to be ways to do that. So it's just, sometimes if it's not working, you can blow that whole house down. And that's what, and things started going wrong. The pitches weren't moving. That's what the Royals did to Sean Manaea.
Yeah, again, it was just frustrating too because this game was in the grasp, and it's a few plays here and there. It's a little bit of sloppy baseball kind of cost us in this one, but at the end of the day, final score was big. Mets did have opportunities though late. Again, if we're going to talk about like the scope of the Mets, what we're looking for the season, the team did fight. The team did fight back. They attempted their best to try to come back. John Schreiber, how do you pronounce it?
Schreiber.
Yeah, he came in, got a couple big outs. He's pretty disgusting for the Royals. I can't believe they got him for like free from the Red Sox.
That wasn't for free. No, they traded a single A pitcher who's a lot of potential. The guy throws 100 miles an hour. I think it was David or Nick Sandlin. I think it was the Oklahoma guy, JUCO.
He's got good stuff. Guy, I forgot.
It was a weird trade because Schreiber just has a ton of team control, but he's just like a fine reliever, which was like a weird trade at the time. But now it looks okay because now the Royals like we have a real setup man and we're trying to make the playoffs. But the other time it was like, why are you guys trading like a top 100 pitching prospect to get like a pretty okay reliever? But weird now in context, but he's good. And again, weird trade. But Royals are a weird team. Strange team, strange build. Give credit to Pete Alonso, 2 home runs on Saturday after hitting one on Friday. He's now 2 away from 200 in his career. Will be the quickest Met by far to do that. I guess I'm assuming David Wright and Darryl Strawberry next closest. I'm sure they're not even close to the amount of games Pete Alonso's done it in. He keeps doing those like
maybe Lucas Duda.
Maybe Lucas Duda. He's probably 4th in that list, sneaky. And then Ed Kranepool coming up the rear, but
actually not hit 200 home runs.
Oh, he definitely 200 home runs in his career.
Ed Kranepool?
In his career? He played 30 years.
Yeah. I think Ed Kranepool has like 14 home runs in his career.
That can't be true. Shut up.
All right, he's 118. He didn't hit 200.
Okay, holy shit. He didn't even get to 150.
In between. You take 14 and 200. It's probably 118 is the middle.
It's a 107, but yeah, almost there. But we're getting Ed Kranepool references every week on the show. Got to keep those going. But I don't even know where I was. Kranepool. When Pete's going well, I guess it was nice.
Yes.
Line drive home runs. Look at that, get out of left field quickly. And you could feel him off the bat, gone, bang, move on to the next one. And now, like suddenly, after a slow start, Pete Alonso's OPS is up to like 960 on the season. Yeah. And I think, led the league in home runs after play on Saturday. So exactly where we expected Pete to be, exactly where we know he was going to be because he's going to want to get the biggest contract that anyone's ever gotten in this offseason. We know he's ready to try and break our hearts and do that. But it was just a game that the Mets didn't win. And I had a thought in this game and then reinforced by listening to the show, buddy Jack, talked to him in the stadium a few times, another pitching nerd just like me. And he was like, man, if that was Christian Scott instead of Cole Sulser coming into this game, the Mets might have won this game. And I was like, damn, I really wish you didn't say that because you're right. And just that is the role that we've seen David Stern's Brewers teams bring on big starting pitching prospects in. Whether it was Woodruff or Freddie Peralta during playoff runs for the Brewers in 18 and 19 or Corbin Burns a few years after that. All those guys came up in this long relief role where they were pitching 3 to 6 innings a week, depending on what happened, staying warm with the Major League club, with Major League pitchers, with the Major League pitching coaches, and then getting warm that way, then coming into the rotation. And it did take these guys a little longer to find their stride, but then eventually, like right now, we're seeing Freddie Peralta blossom into one of the best pitchers in the league. We've seen Brandon Woodruff contend for Cy Young. We've seen Corbin Burns win Cy Youngs. And Christian Scott, I think, has stuff that can rival some of those guys eventually, growing into that. They didn't enter the league like that, but they became that. And the Mets every single night, it seems like, not every single night, but Jose Butto on Sunday was only the 3rd time this season that the Mets completed 6 innings. And Jose Butto's done that twice. There's only 2 starts. Twice. We'll get getting to Butto very soon. I'm already getting excited about
the Jose Butto podcast.
The Jose Butto podcast always has been, always will be. But as the Mets continue to need this mop-up duty, and as you know, a lot of starters in the staff aren't exactly 6-7 inning guys. This is when it does make sense probably to have one of these, even a guy like Dom Hamill, who has more experience than Christian Scott. Maybe you're not as worried about his development.
Last start too.
It's amazing his last start. I think he struck out 10 guys for AAA. Yeah. Like the Mets pitching every single day is doing something amazing in the minor leagues. Just, it makes a lot of sense for the way this roster is built to have a sponge on this staff. And
now, to be fair, I think those guys will come up quicker than we expected, but it's that option rule where it was like they can't bring those guys back up unless there's an injury. So I think that might be
Friday was the day.
Friday was the day. Okay.
Friday was the day. And also this Thursday or Wednesday was the day to get an extra year of service time, which was coincidentally the day that Jackson Holliday makes his major league debut. It's so weird.
It's crazy.
It's so weird how that works.
Nobody talked about that when he got called up.
Amazing coincidences that all these major league front offices are doing. It's so funny too that like I'm sure like there's like the Jackson Holliday thing is funny. Just talk about it for a second because Now you get the extra. The guys get the service time benefit if they come up and get top 3 rookie of the year, and the team also gets the bonus pick. So the Orioles are like, oh, nice. We're going to model this and project this exactly so we can keep in the minor leagues the exact day that we can get the extra year service time, and then we know he's still going to be good enough to get close to enough rookie of the year to get that service time back, and we get to pick the show for it. So everybody wins. Just it's crazy how like tight these teams work. It's like it's so precise how they play. But Saturday was disappointing. It felt like the Mets probably had more chances than they should have when they had given up 9 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game. But it's probably just still some April stuff going on. I think it's not the kind of loss again. I think that sky's falling like it was a few weeks ago.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And especially when you see them then come out on game 3 on Sunday. And granted, the offense was not great. They got a bunch of hits, a lot of singles and stuff. But it was Cole Reagan's ace. I think we're going to call him an ace now. He's officially an ace. But he was going up against another ace by the name of Jose Butto. And you know what? It couldn't have been more fitting on the day that the Mets retired Doc Gooden's number 16. A couple aces on the mound. Jose Butto, young ace for the Mets. We've seen that happen before. We'll see it happen again. And Cole Reagan's another young ace. Like this was, if there was ever some way to pay true homage to Doc Gooden besides retiring his number, have an ace off right here.
It was a true ace off, the truest of the word. I knew that there were some vibes for Jose Butto before this game because I tweeted in the morning, like true ace off for Doc Gooden, like as a joke, and just did a screenshot of the game day feed on MLB app. It got like 300 likes. I was like, oh, Mets fans are actually really excited about Jose Butto today. Like I'm not alone here. But talk about the Doc stuff first because it was just beautiful to have a real pitcher's duel on Doc Gooden's day. And it was just, I was so excited for him. He was so happy, and this is so well deserved. Mets production staff is incredible. They really are so good. And like that montage they put on the scoreboard that they played, also they tweeted on Twitter if anybody wants to see it, narrated by Chuck D, which was baller as hell. Cool. Just like 80s New York shit. It was like, fuck this is really cool. But he was so happy. Like there were moments that like he almost cried. Like they went and honored like a bunch of players from the 86 team that Doc played with. They were like getting bottom of the roster guys. Barry Lyons was out there getting honored. Like they put the whole team back for Doc's day. And then just like it was like it was a funny moment that they were like going through his kids, and I was like, here's another one, and another one, another one. I was like, oh my god,
I like to have he had a good time, man. He was having a good time.
He made some money. He could keep the kids
the
going.
80s.
Safe. There was Dwight Jr. and went all the way down the list. But then the one thing, and we talked about this in the last episode, why did the Mets do this in April? It's so annoying they did this in April. Like Keith got his day in summer. Edgardo Alfonso got the Mets Hall of Fame in the summer. Kuzma got his in the summer. Like, why? Am I forgetting anybody since in the Cohen era? That
Piazza.
No,
Piazza's not Cohen era.
I'm talking about Cohen era. Yeah. Cohen era retirees. Strawberry's going to get his
Willie
this
Mays.
summer. Yeah, Willie Mays. But Strawberry's getting his this summer. Why in the world did they do this in April? And like,
I can tell you why.
Well, I mean, we all know why. They're trying to get people in that stadium, but it still didn't work. That's the problem because it was still forecast for rain. It wasn't a warm day. I mean, ended up getting nice by the end of the game, but it's just like there's like 9,000 people there to watch Doc Gooden's number get retired. Where Keith Hernandez and like even Jerry Kuzman, the place is packed. I thought that was not that fair. He made a comment about it. Howie Rose made a comment about it. It's just, it definitely made me a little bit annoyed, but definitely didn't stop how happy I was for Doc.
Yes, happy for Doc. If I could have done it myself, we would not have picked April for Doc Gooden to get his jersey number retired.
No, I mean, like they're under umbrellas, like talking about this. Like people are wearing suits and they're getting rained on. Like Stephen Alex Cohen are under umbrellas. Like why did we do this in April? New York in April, it rains. Like that's what happens. Engagement. April showers, May flowers. Have you guys heard the saying before? And again, we don't know if there was extenuating circumstances with somebody who it had to be in April, like someone who wanted to be there, maybe a family member of somebody. I don't know, someone important. Just maybe it had to be this day. So
maybe Doc's busy in August. I
don't know. Yeah, July's a tough month for the doctor, but it's just that pissed me off a little bit, just a little more than it should have. And also, his speech was interesting. Did you listen to it?
I heard bits and pieces, and I heard when he mentioned that he was lucky to play for the Yankees for 2 years. Everyone started booing. They're like, "Boo!" He's like, "I'm always a Met. I'm always a Met." And I was like, "Doc, you got to know if you're bringing up the Yankees, that was going to happen." Like, I saw some people were like, "I can't believe they booed him." I'm like, they're not booing him; they're booing the Yankees. But also, Doc should have known.
That's also a reflex for Mets fans. Yankees boo, Yankees boo, Yankees boo. You hear Yankees, you boo in the ballpark. That's how it goes. Also, he just spent like the last 2 minutes of the speech being like, I wanted to come back in 99. They said no. I wanted to come back 2000. They said no. 2001. They said no. I was like, I would play in the minor leagues. Like, I don't really care. I really just want to end my career as a Met. And the Wilpons kept saying no to him, which it sucks because Doc is a legend. I put out a huge tweet on Sunday morning just about like how his 1985 is like all things considered contextually probably the best pitching season of all time. Like the second to last triple crown besides Johan. Full league triple crown, no bullshit half league triple crown. 270 strikeouts, 24 wins, 12 WAR, 31 consecutive scoreless innings in September. Didn't give up a run the whole month of September. It's incredible. I think he had something like 8 shutouts or eight complete games with
It
4
was
shutouts.
disgusting.
33 out of 35 starts that year were quality starts, the highest percentage for a single season ever. And one of the games he didn't go 6 innings was because there was a rain delay and he had to come out of the game. He didn't give up more than 3 earned runs in the start after April. Like the guy, and he was 20 years old, youngest Cy Young ever. That will, on this Messed Up podcast, I'm saying it now, that will never be broken. There will never be another 20-year-old Cy Young winner ever again. History in the league. Yeah, Batman Chalupa. I was saying something else before. I'll do hunger strike. I'll go.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go the whole offseason. I won't eat if there's another 20-year-old Cy Young.
I thought that was gonna be for Jose Butto.
No, it is. I'm just dropping it now. I'm doing a couple hunger strikes. I've spent the whole weekend in the desert. I was walking around just barefoot in the sand. I don't know. The vibe was hitting me, but
Lisa Nagaib.
It's just a cool moment for Doc, and just happy how happy he was.
Yes, no, it was really cool. So now let's talk about what's going on in the field, because you've heard us talk about Jose Butto, but we actually haven't talked about Jose Butto. We've just been saying Jose Butto podcast. We've been telling you from the start. And to be fair, check the tapes. Run them back. Go back to 2021. We were all over Jose Butto as soon as you could be all over Jose Butto. I have some autographed cards of his that I'm going to be looking to move. If anybody wants to buy some Jose Butto cards tomorrow, probably going to be the highest value ever. Going to throw those up on eBay. Great little flips by me. But no, seriously, Jose Butto looks really good. He looks fantastic. The fastball's sitting, like 94? The slider's looking great. Everything is just, love it from Jose Butto. Love it.
Got getting up to 95 too, and he was putting in the zone. The Royals weren't catching up to it, and this is a big reason why we tell you guys that spring training can be important. I'll never say spring training is important, but spring training can be important because you see a guy like Butto who is showing a new sweeper, he's mixing with his cutter slider, gyro pitch. The fastball's coming in with more velocity, and you can just see all these incremental improvements happening year over year. Jeremy Hefner has talked so much about how much he's worked and how much he wants this. And you can see his emotion on the mound. Like every time he gets out of an inning, every strikeout, he's pumping his fist, he's screaming. Like this guy wants it so bad. He was always unheralded. He was always underrated. The things he's done the last few years to put himself in position to do this, and now to have this opportunity, and to this point, on April 14th of the season, to have been the best Mets starting pitcher through a few weeks of a major league season, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy he's helping this team right now. And it's just, he was so good in this game. He's 5 strikeouts the first 2 innings. He had his changeup had the Royals hitters spinning. His slider looked awesome. He was mixing sweepers when he could. He got his sinker going later in the game. He kind of transitioned from fastball to sinker late as they were starting to get on his fastball third time through the order, which I'm like, that is a wrinkle. That's a young pitcher who's pitching like a veteran right there. And when you're a guy like Jose Butto and you're not the most gifted, and you don't have the craziest pitches in the world, and you're going up against literally one of the best left-handed pitchers in the league in Cole Reagans. Mets fans, you guys saw that firsthand on Sunday. You got to do things, and he did so many things to keep a Royals lineup that's been smoking hot totally off balance the entire night.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. I mean, it's good when James is texting me from Morocco going, Butto, dude, Jose fucking Butto. He looked fucking unreal, dude, fully erect. That was the messages in a row from James about Jose Butto. And I mean, he's good. He's a good pitcher. Thankfully, Carlos Mendoza said after the game, he's not going anywhere. He's here. Jose Butto is going to be a part of this rotation, be a part of this team in some aspect. If he's not, we've decided you're going to go on a hunger strike, you said, right?
Yeah, if Jose Butto does not make this next turn through the rotation with the Mets, I'm fully going on a hunger strike. I will not eat again until Jose Butto. If he gets skipped next time, not eating again until he gets back in the rotation.
So Carlos Mendoza and David Stearns, guys making decisions. If you want James Shiano to be healthy, blood is on your hands. If you want James to starve, blood's on your hands. He's going hunger strike.
I'm going to be in Spain next week. I really want to eat the food. I love paella. It's like one of my favorite things in the world.
Ham.
Yeah, I've eaten so much meat in this trip. Having so much beef. We went to a buffet today in the long bus ride back from the Sahara. I went ape in this random buffet in the middle of Morocco.
I thought buffets were only an American thing. Is that crazy?
It was like part of the tour group thing, and I think they were like, oh, these Americans. It's like today was like the full 8-hour drive back, like from the desert all the way. Like we were all the way like in the border of Algeria. We were out there. I was so out there, it was insane. Like 40-foot high sand dunes. Like we had to ride a camel an hour to get to where we were camping. Like I was legitimately in the middle of nowhere, like so in the middle of nowhere. It was insane. And they were like, oh, let's get these Americans buffet. I was consorting, shout out you and shout out our boy Clay, wild batch of South Carolina frat bros on this like
Oh,
50
nice.
person trip in these buses from Marrakesh to the desert. And
Hopefully not the ones like from Borat, because those were also South Carolina frat
yeah, you
bros.
guys really have a reputation. These guys almost were similar because they were just like, oh, so bro, dude, they were so crazy.
Hey,
And they,
not a frat bro, not a frat bro. Don't
no,
say it just like you guys. Maybe I think Clay might have been one. I'm not sure. It
Clay
feels
might have
like he
been.
could have been in.
Yeah, if it's, I say
Yeah,
60-40 on Clay on that one.
frat
But
adjacent at least.
yeah, these guys were like bragging about like puking in the hotel. So like we had like they were screaming chug 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 for bottles of wine. We were having a group dinner. We were like, what the hell's going on? It was like there was like families there,
I
and then
thought there was no alcohol.
the hotels will have it because the Americans stay there.
Gotcha.
And then went out for the rest stop and they all got turbans and started wearing them. I was like, this is insane. And then
Oh
we
no.
stopped at another spot to bring alcohol to our campsite in the desert. And the dudes started drinking on the bus. And the same group of dudes were yakking on the bus. We're like, what's different bus than me? Thank God. We're like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, you guys are legit infant humans right now. I couldn't believe what I was watching, but that still cannot dull the Jose Butto shine. He was doing something in this game that you hate, but I kind of want us to change your mind to a little bit, where he was throwing so many changeups to the right-handed hitters. And the pitch so far this year for Butto has a 50% whiff rate, and it's like stagnant, like pretty up. It's mostly against righties. And I think 5 of the 9 strikeouts they were on the changeup. And I was looking at this because I was like, why is this part of the game plan that he's doing so much of this for changeups? Because I'll trust Jeremy Hefner. Game planning wise, I think Mets pitching has been exceptional this
Pretty
year.
good.
It's because there's a lot of guys in here with not a lot of stuff, and we still have one of the lowest ERAs in all of baseball as a team. So I'm like, why is this happening? Jose Butto's changeup's a major outlier in the fact that it doesn't really move horizontally. It doesn't have that arm side fade that most changeups will have. It's the 5th least arm side movement for any changeup in the league, and the 2nd least for any starting pitcher in the league. So it's basically just a straight up and down changeup. And that makes it so good against the righties. It's a real classic pull the string changeup. And I know that you probably want your changeup to move more rather than move less. I think that'll make it better, especially when he doesn't have the biggest gradient of speed between his fastball and his changeup. But it keeps it so efficient against the righties, and he gets used against the lefties as well. And that's how he's able to really just dig into guys both sides of the plate, because that changeup's good against both sides. The gyro slide is good against both sides. And now the sweeper's a weapon against the righties. So it's just like if anyone's coming to the plate, Jose Butto has a plan to attack them. And this was just, he was never in trouble. He was in complete control. He was going 0 for 0 with Cole Reagans, while Reagans was in trouble on the other side. Butto, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, no runs, 2 hits, only 3 hard hit balls, 16 swings and misses. The 9 strikeouts were the most by a Met this year. The 16 swings and misses were tied for the most by a Met this year. And he's the first Met to complete 6 innings twice. How the fuck is Jose Butto the first Met to complete 6 innings twice? Only started 2 games. He has to stay in the rotation. Carlos Miller says he's going to stay in the rotation. He needs to stay in the rotation.
Yeah, I was really impressed too that they left him in, and luckily, or I should say this, they left him in to face Vinny Pasquantino in the 6th after Bobby Witt got that double. That was something to me that in my head, I go, probably should be one of our left-handed relievers, just like conceptually speaking, in a tight game like that. But I do love that they went with the crazy ballsy move, and it paid off, of course. That was great. But that's big for like the growth of a pitcher too, for a guy like Jose Butto. Getting that stamp of confidence from his manager, from the pitching coach, being like, you need to get out of this right now. That's like a growing moment. That's how you become a better pitcher, and not just a guy who goes 5 innings and hopefully you give up a couple runs. That's how you become one of those guys who can go out and win your team games, is by getting those big outs there. And you even saw the Royals do it with Cole Reagans. There was a couple late in the game before they went to the bullpen. They left him in when he got himself into some trouble, and he got out of it. And that's stuff that you kind of miss in baseball nowadays, because the numbers are so like just so involved in every decision being made. And I kind of liked it a little bit. It felt like a little bit of 1980s Doc Gooden baseball right there. Let the aces win the games for you.
I love it. Even Keith and Ron were talking about it, because they were like, you don't see this in baseball anymore. You let the pitcher work into and out of trouble and see what he can do. And that's how you learn a lot about these guys. Like, you can see Jose Butto against Vinny Pasquantino at bat, like drop some sinkers low and outside. You see the new wrinkles. You see how, when his back's up against the wall, how he maneuvers. I think another big part of that was just the fact that Salvador Perez got injured. I think he hyperextended his knee a few innings before that. So Freddie Fermin was on deck.
Marte tag up.
Yeah, and it was also interesting in that play because we know the relationship between Perez and Francisco Alvarez. They're very good friends. Alvarez has trained with him a couple off seasons now, just both lights out Venezuelan catchers, and he was on deck. So when he went down, Alvarez came up and put his arm around him and was like helping him up, like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" It was a nice moment. Again, as much as I hate those old that Royals team that beat the Mets, and I will go to my grave saying just the worst things on earth about Eric Hosmer, and even Mike
could be Eric Hosmer.
But I don't really have that much ill will to Salvador Perez, who was the best player in that series. He's just too good of a ball player.
I have a secret. I love Salvador Perez. He's like one of my
I
favorite players ever.
was gonna
He's one
say
of my favorite
that.
players ever. He's
Let's go.
so good. He's
Let's
just as a catching guy. I just love that he's just a catcher. He's like every single day I'll go out there and catch. I don't care.
And Kate Feldman, who you've had specifically some choice words in this podcast about, she had a great tweet Friday night where she was like, "How is Salvador Perez 33 years old? I've been watching him play my entire life, and
He's 33.
might be 34. He's a child.
Okay.
You know, he came up when he was like 21 as a full time catcher.
I
He's
thought
a
it was like
stalwart.
37.
And everyone thought he was falling off after last year. No, not Salvador Perez. He does not fall off. He crushed the series again. He's having a very good year, and he will have a very good year. And he's going to take like three generations of Royals, like basically to the playoffs possibly if they pull this off this year. But great rally by the Mets to end this game. There were so many opportunities. A big one for Lindor in the seventh, where it's just like the big ovation. The pop off was so ready. Everybody in there was so excited for a win. And just as amazing as he looked in all his at bats against Cole Reagans, I think he had 2 or 3 hard hit balls.
Right-handed.
2 or 3 times, again, right handed. That's where you can see the difference here, whereas there's concern about the lefty swing. That's for real. Because Cole Reagans is not being facetious, multiple times saying in this episode, he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. You guys got an up-close look at this game, where he has the curveball, the slider, the changeup, the high fastball. He is a freak of nature. Shout out Tread Athletics for what they've done developing Cole Reagans, because they do a great job. I know Driveline gets all the credit, but Tread's an amazing organization too. Francisco Lindor was handling him with ease. He was peppering the ball, put it wherever he wanted, and then he comes up with a righty on the mound, he hits lefty, and he swings the bad pitch, he pops it up immediately. I'm just like, what? Or to the dribbler, whatever it was, because it's one of those two options right now. Yeah, with Lindor. So either a dribbler or it's a pop-up. And it's just, I don't think he's ever not going to switch hit, and I also don't think he should. One, because he's just done it his whole life, and he's built the beginning of a Hall of Fame career doing it, and it's also just that would be, as good of a player as he is, so ridiculously embarrassing. And also the third thing, he's never seen pitches move that way from that side of the plate. Like, he's never been a righty who's faced a righty, so like that, he would almost have to completely relearn how to game plan himself as a right-handed hitter, because he's never done that before. But it's just right now, it feels really bad. And I don't know when it's going to get better, because it hasn't yet. And he was pumped up when he got his single turn to a double play on Renfroe, and like the crowd was giving it back to him, and he was giving it back, and it was great. But it's just, I don't know when it's going to happen.
So let me ask you this, because we've talked privately. I still don't think Starling Marte should be hitting 2, but he's getting hits, so that's kind of dead. I still don't think it's the right decision. I think there's going to be games that even happened earlier in this one where he came up with like guys on. I'm like, man, I really wish we had one of our actual best hitters on this team up at this point. But is it worth moving Lindor down the order right now with the way that he's swinging?
I would be really comfortable switching him and Pete.
Okay, so hitting him 4th. So you're not 5th, not 6th, not anywhere down there, but you'd hit him as low as 4 right now.
Yeah, also because I think we've talked about a lot about Pete Alonso ensuring he doesn't lead off innings, because he was leading off plenty of innings this series as he was hitting 4th, which was really pissing me off. But maybe this is all a thing with Pete. I looked up his career stats on this, and it wasn't anything significant, but he is slightly better hitter 4 compared to 3. But it's in many less at bats. He's by far the best hitter of any spot too. So I don't know, but maybe it's just a Pete thing where he's like, I have been the power hitter my whole life. I have hit 4th my whole life. Right. But if that's the thing, that's okay. Like, if there's something that a player is saying that a player wants to do, to me, that'll supersede all numbers with lineup construction. Sure. Because at the end of the day, it's really not one of the most important things happening. It's about player comfortability, guys getting in routines. And the one problem I still have with Mendoza, as much as I think this team is riding for him, and as good as he's been in his last few weeks, because just if the team wins, the manager is good. If the team loses, the manager is bad. That's the rule. Just the tiny little changes every single day are frustrating me a little bit. Like the fact that Nimmo's not a center fielder, now he's playing center field on Saturday, and he makes a flub. The fact that Marte's down in the order, he's not really hitting great, and he moves up the order. And the fact that, I don't know, the Baty Alvarez. Like
Tyrone Taylor hitting 5th today, and then Alvarez was 6th or 7th, and then Baty sometimes hits 5th now, and sometimes it's 8th. Yeah. It is a little confusing.
And that also annoyingly comes from the Aaron Boone school of bad management, where we're changing the lineup every single day, which is I hope that's not true. I would love to just be some consistency, especially with Aaron Boone. Yeah, just keep moving it. But again, we had the rally late. Harrison Bader with the best dribbler I've ever seen. Brandon with a very clutch
line driving the book.
Brandon with a great bases loaded walk that was very critical, because Edwin Diaz hung a slide to Vinny Pasquantino in the homecoming and made it 2-1. But great win. Amazing win. Brett Baty came in the game, kind of changed everything, gets huge standing ovations. Just Edwin Diaz, first home trumpets of the year with a save. Awesome day, and really, really happy the Mets won another series.
Did you catch what the Mets did this weekend? I don't know how in you are on the TikTok social media world, but are you aware of the legend that is Sketch? Special plays, special teams, special players?
Not even one bit.
So there's this guy named Sketch, a Madden streamer who's blowing up on TikTok, Instagram, everything, just going nuclear. And the Mets did a sketch cam now for people to copy what he does in the stadium. So I'm gonna put the mic down for a second. And he's just like, "What's up, brother?" Like that's kind of his whole thing. Is he just like is kind of a funny, goofy dude, genuinely good guy. And the Mets did a sketch cam in the stadium this weekend, and they had plenty of people doing it. I thought that was really cool. You've seen Bryce Harper maybe, or a lot of the Cleveland Guardians are doing it when they hit home runs or get on base. They're doing sketch stuff, and this is just for this dude who's just like a Madden streamer. So cool on the Mets again, production side of things. Cool on the Mets to be up front moving forward. They did the what is it called? The crooner?
Yeah.
What is he called?
The driving crooner.
Driving crooner. Yeah, they did the driving
Tim
crooner cam.
Robinson.
They did the sketch cam. So I'm interested to see what else they pull out throughout the year in terms of fan engagement there.
Yeah, I mean, everything they do in the ballpark is great. Everything on that scoreboard basically
Yes.
is amazing. It's especially when they have the right team on the board, everything's working right. That's all good.
Perfectly.
But
and the graphics look great this year.
Graphics look so much better this year. Thank God the graphics look good. I mean, again, if you guys are going to get rid of us, like at least like fix some of the things. Like, and most almost every single thing has been. So I'm really happy about that. But great win. Mets are blazing hot. There's a 3 series in a row now. It's like 9-3 in their last 12. I mean, 6-3 in their last 9. Like this is some good things happening.
7 out of their last 10.
7 out of the last 10. It's just playing good ball since I've left the country. So I'm gonna have to make a decision about that soon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a couple positives for you not being in America.
Right? Honestly, why not? Maybe to spend a little time out here. I could use it. Why not?
But I mean, I need my friend back though. I need my friend back to come hang out with me because no one's around during the week. You're around. It's nice. I'm like, hey, you want to go get a beer and watch the Knicks? James is like, yes, I'm in. Everybody else is like, oh, I have my girlfriend. Oh, I have work tomorrow morning. Ugh, gross. Real work, real life people stuff is bullshit.
No, that stuff all really seems like it sucks. But also, I wanted to be at the stadium this weekend. Stadium looked great on Sunday. I really wanted to be there for that game.
Yeah.
Place looked awesome. Even though the fact there were like 12 people there at Doc Gooden's retirement because it happened in April, but still looked great. The vibes are amazing. Mets vibes are great right now. Now, gonna move on now. Before we do the Pirates preview, we're going to be a real podcast now, guys. We're trying to take this thing to some sponsors. So we're going to do this every single Monday for you guys. We're going to call it very much a work in progress name. Another thing that came to me with the Desert Brain, the Media Marvels. Just want to do some
Media Marvels. What about Media Masterminds? Is that a little bit too much? We're almost like playing into them being too like a joke.
Yeah, might be a few too many syllables for us there. But I'm open to anything here. If anyone else has anything for this,
I'll offer this. Anybody who can come up with a better name, you get a signed Jose Butto baseball card. I'll give you a signed Jose Butto card if you can give us a good name for this segment.
That's amazing.
I have like 30.
Yeah, it's just way too many of those. I'll buy like 10 of those. Don't worry about it. But so Media Marvels every single Monday we're gonna highlight some just takes in baseball media. That might even not come from baseball media, but we have a few this week, and some are gonna be Mets related. Some might not be Mets related. We're definitely trying some new things on here. But the first one, longtime friend of the Mets, one Mr. Circle Glasses, Harry Potter, Rat Face, Buster Olney. He said in an article this weekend, ESPN, the Mets won't contend this year or anytime soon. What we're seeing early this year are red flags that despite carrying the highest payroll in baseball, the Mets will not be competitive this year. But more importantly, they also will not be competitive for years to come. The rotation is built on older veterans signed to short-term deals. Yeah, no shit, Buster. A lot of one-year deals. So it's really going to hamstring this team. And their farm system is largely void of high-end pitching prospects. Buster Olney has never...
Dumb bitch.
He's never heard of Jonah Tong, this fucking rat. Never heard of Jonah Tong. By the time the Mets can rebuild their organizational pitching, their core position player group could be on its collective downslope. They're off to a slow start, and what we see on the horizon looks bleak too. Buster Olney, fuck you.
Fuck you, Buster Olney. I gotta say, shout out to oh man, this is a hard Italian last name to say. Caracciolo, maybe he posted like the Mets community thing on Twitter, and this is how I saw it. Was he posted and said, "Did the Mets fuck Buster Olney's wife?" Because he has such, you know what? As a hater, respect the amount of hate that he has because he will ride or die. Say fuck the Mets. I hate this team. They didn't sign George Springer. I bet the family farm. He is so spurned by whoever gave him that fake inside information that he just put his whole career on, seemingly, where he said, I'd sell the family farm. The Mets are going to sign George Springer. Boy, was he wrong. And boy, thank God we didn't sign him, by the way. Whew, what a bullet we dodged there. But Buster doesn't even know what he's talking about. That's the other thing here is you can hate the Mets and you can say like these takes like, oh, they have shit pitching and they stink. They spend all this money and they can't win. But the pitching or the organizational depth is just simply wrong. The Mets have a top 10 farm system in baseball. And in terms of pitching, yeah, they don't have the names that you know, Buster Olney, weirdly, because you work in baseball and this is the only thing that you do all day long. So you think you would be a little bit more well-versed in the depth of the pitching prospects of the Mets, but fucking Christian Scott, hello? Like, he could be one of the best pitching prospects in baseball at the major league level this year. It's not like he's an A-ball even, like our boy Jonah Tong. I don't know how he's so tone deaf and so distant from everything that is baseball.
It's because Buster Olney is like an insider. He's an industry guy. And like what he's heard when these guys on the Mets got drafted is that he's a 3, he's a 4, he's a 5, which when all these Mets pitchers got drafted, that's totally and completely true. And I will give him that. But the problem that Buster has here, and that's, I think a lot of people in baseball, not that have, but just pitching development happens. It keeps happening. Yes. It never stops happening. The best thing about pitching is that like the pitcher you are when you're 25, pitcher you are when you're 30, 35, 40 for guys who are lucky. Like you're always going to be a different pitcher. Look at the guy like Jose
Zach Wheeler wasn't going to be worth $23 million when the Phillies signed him a year. And me and you both were like, you're idiots. How could you not think that?
Now he's worth like $50 million a year. He's the last pitcher standing who throws 95 miles an hour. But it's just, this always happens. Like pitching development never stops. A guy like Butto, the work he puts in. And you see these guys like Christian Scott, Mike Vassell, Dom Hamill, Jonah Tong, Calvin Ziegler, Brandon Sproat, Wyatt Hudapole, like how many, Austin Schrosser, how many more do we need?
Noah McLean.
Like it's just, it's happening. And it's just, again, Buster Olney's like not going to be like the Mets have a pitching lab. They're doing it because Buster Olney's had this vendetta for like our whole lives against the Mets. Like he was talking shit when the Mets signed Francisco Lindor. He was talking shit when the Mets let go of Jared Porter and Zach Scott, saying it was organizational failures. And those guys were not fit to have the jobs they had. Like Buster Olney, when again, every chance everyone had to jump on the Mets when Mickey Callaway being a Predator was, as a quote from Brick Rowley in the Athletic article, the worst kept secret in sports. Where's Buster Olney on that one? He's very selective in taking shots at the Mets. And these little stupid Friday newsletters. Yeah, right, Buster. We're coming back to this, and you're one of the media marvels this week. Next one. This one's insane. I wanted to shout out this one. We missed it in the last episode, but Bally Sports South, which is basically the Braves SNY, but not really Braves SNY because they're too poor to actually have their own network. So it's the Bally RSN that will broadcast.
Yeah, Turner Sports not being able to have their own network is bizarre.
One of these to them. They took a video from the Mets game last Thursday. Do you remember the score from the Mets Braves game last Thursday, Mark?
I mean, that must have been the one-run game where we came back late and Marcelo Ozuna hit the home run. Oh, wait, no, he didn't. Tyrone Taylor caught it. Was it that game?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it wasn't that game. It was actually the game 16-4. And they
forgot about that one.
They took a screen grab from Ronald Acuna Jr. at bat. Full count, runner in scoring position. Again, the Mets won this game by 12 runs. It was a full count. It was runner in scoring position. And a pitch, Jose Quintana's sinker, missed the plate by, I'm being generous here, 2 inches.
Dick hair?
3 inches right there. It missed the plate by one Buster Olney. And the team's network, again, like there's probably like a social media person who did this, and it's not a bad idea for a tweet because like it's going to get good engagement. It did get really good engagement. But
we're talking about it.
It worked. The fact that in the game this team lost by 12 runs, and again, the Braves said they don't care about losing to the Mets because the Mets win their World Series in April every year and they beat the Braves. 2 inches off the plate in a 12-run game, and they're bitching about it because their reigning MVP didn't get a call, as the reigning MVP's OPS starts with a 6. Get over yourselves, Bally Sports. SNY, they'll do the opposite. They'll talk shit about the Mets. They'll parade out bald-faced loser, and they'll tell you how the Mets suck. Where Bally Sports is taking a pitch 2 inches off the plate, and they're saying, wow, the Braves, this would have been a 12-run pitch for them. So mad.
Yeah, no, that is a super, super lame tweet by Bally Sports South. Then the final thing to talk about here in terms of the media marvels, and again, this one's a little bit more close to home for you. I was more about the Buster Olney one, but you've got the Elly De La Cruz haters, and I know this doesn't have to do with the Mets, but sometimes we're just going to talk a little baseball with you. We're 50 minutes into the podcast here. Again, if you're listening this long, you probably like us. We saw your comments. You liked when we do the personal stuff. Appreciate all the positive feedback, but James, go off on your Elly De La Cruz haters.
There were people this offseason who thought Elly De La Cruz was going to get sent down to the minor leagues. There were people that watched Elly De La Cruz play baseball, and they were like, we don't think this guy's good enough to be a Major League Baseball player.
Crazy.
Elly De La Cruz right now is on like a 35 homer, 80 steal pace. Elly De La Cruz looks like one of the best players in baseball, and you guys saw him up close and personal last weekend. While he does a lot of things that are amazing, he definitely also does a lot of things that are bonehead. The kid's 22 years old. He's 6'5", and he runs faster than the wind. He hits balls 470 feet. He's closer to Fernando Tatis Jr. than being back in AAA. And a writer who I like, who I'm friendly with, I want to shout him out because he's like so into the stats that sometimes he blinds himself a little bit. I think he listened to the show, maybe not every episode, but he's referenced it to me before. Michael Salfino of The Athletic. That's my guy. Mike, man, you were fading Elly De La Cruz all drafts. You said he was going down the minor league. Said the chase rate was too high. You said he couldn't survive in the league with 30% strikeout rate. He's going to go 30. He's on pace to go 30-80, and he's not even close to his ceiling yet.
No.
That's our last media marvel of the week. Shout out you guys, Michael Salfino, for not thinking Ellie De La Cruz is a Major League Baseball player because the dude's fucking incredible.
So good. Also, talking about being fast, Bobby Witt Jr. is so
So
fast.
fast.
So fast. He hit that triple on Saturday that just like went to left center field. A hit off the wall. He hit the ball hard and it was a triple like with ease. I was like, how did he get there? And then I think Sarah Lang's tweet out, I think it took like 11 seconds for him to get to third base. That is so insanely long. I've been talking about him hitting that triple longer than it took him to actually run from home to third.
It looked like a play that, like, for some guys it would be a single, and he got to third base, and it wasn't even a play there. He's incredible. He's one of the best players in baseball. He's so good that he's bringing that whole team up. Like, we say this Royals team has been good at hitting, and like Salvador Perez is good, MJ Melendez is pretty good, Pascuantino, Hunter Renfroe, I guess. None of those guys even hold a candle to what Bobby Witt does. He's going to win MVP in his career. He's worth every single penny. He's one of the best players in baseball. But you guys have heard this bitch and moan for a little while now. Getting on to the last thing we're talking about here, a preview of the Pittsburgh Pirates series. And there's going to be another series at Citi Field. I'm just absolutely begging for the team to have an off day, and they just won't give us one. This is it. This is the end of what was scheduled as 15 games in 14 days. We got that rain out in Atlanta, so we did get a sneaky off day in there. But 3 games against the Pirates. Game 1 is going to be, I'm trying to do math right now.
Martin Perez.
Yeah, 7-10, 7-10, 1-10. Nice classic series for us. Adrian Hauser versus Martin Perez. Tuesday, Jose Quintana versus Jared Jones, who I'm going to talk about a lot.
Oh wait, he's Tuesday now?
Yeah, you got to go to that game.
That throws off plans because I was talking to your friend Ross, who's coming into town, cousin of the Bednars.
Yeah,
and he was like, he's like, Wednesday could be Jared Jones' day. You trying to go? And I was like, I will see you there. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Is that softball too? Softball Tuesday night?
No, we're off again in softball. Can't even believe it. I mean, you're lucking out. He said we have 1 game the following week and then another 2 weeks off. I don't know what the schedule is here.
2. I'm not going to play a game for a month and a half. Oh,
probably, yeah.
It sucks so bad. But then Wednesday, the 1:00 matinee. This is the ace-off you're going to see. Luis Severino versus Bailey Falter. But
little Bailey Falter action.
This Pirates team, similar to the Royals team, is coming into Citi Field playing good baseball. The only thing really stopping his Pirates team right now, I hate to say it because he's my friend and he's one of my best friend's cousins. Dave Bednar's not having a good run of it right now. And there's people in the Pittsburgh media calling for a domestic abuser, an assault artist to be the closer of this team again, which sucks. But there's like they might be right. But Bednar he hasn't been spinning that curveball the same way. And like Riley Telez did the cool thing where the media was kind of grilling Bednar. And Bednar's been kind of a hero for that team the last few years. He's been one of the only things to cheer for. He has an electric entrance. He's been a leader even as a young guy. He's from Pittsburgh. His face was on Icy Light cans. If any Pittsburgh folks are listening to this podcast, you guys know Icy Light. It's a foul beer, but people in Pittsburgh defend it like it's their son or their grandma or their brother. But he's not having a good run for right now. But sometimes that gets magnified with closers. But I'm happy you're going to see Ross. I'm happy to reach out to you because Ross is the man. David Bednar is also the man. If you get to say hi to Dave, tell him I said what's up because he's dope. Also, if Mr. Bednar's there, Mr. Bednar's a riot. Mr. Bednar's so much fun to hang out with. Me and Mr. Bednar got lit at Ross's wedding in September. But his Pirates team is fun and they're playing well. They're 11-5. They're leading the NL Central. They just took a split 2 out of 4 from the Phillies. They beat Zach Wheeler on Sunday behind Jack Sawinski, who's heating up. And they're a good team. Similar to the Royals, where I think they're fun, but I don't think they're good.
I think they're worse than the Royals, personally. Just looking at this lineup, I don't know if these guys are as sticky as some of the other guys on the Royals. But like Jared Jones, good pitcher. Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, O'Neal Cruz, all good players. Connor Joe does this every year where he has just an incredible April, I feel like, and everybody picks him up in fantasy. And then it's May 15th, and you're like, oh, Connor Joe's not a Major League Baseball player again. It's happened. He fooled us once again. So I don't know. Like Henry Davis has been terrible. I don't think he's a bad player, but it seems like catching is making his job a lot harder, especially at the plate. Maybe not the best idea there. They did get Joey Bart, though, who's been swinging a hot bat, former top prospect as well. This is a weird team. Keep an eye out for O'Neal Cruz. We just talked about Ellie De La Cruz. He basically built the way for Ellie De La Cruz in a way of being an alien that plays shortstop. And they're different in that I think Ellie De La Cruz is a better player and
more
a better
dynamic
athlete. Yeah, more dynamic. But O'Neal Cruz is also 6 foot 100 and throws 105, and he will hit a home run this series that will make you drop your jaw. Drop your jaw.
Yes. O'Neal Cruz, I remember the first time I saw him, I think it was like a weird Pirates backfield clip that made it to Twitter. And it was like just this 18, 19-year-old. It was 6'7", 200 pounds. I remember like had like 3 legs. Yeah, former Dodger prospect, and was embroiled in something that happened in Dominican Republic. You guys could look it up if you want to. I don't want to say anything that allegedly happened, but early 2020, right before the pandemic, really got swept under the rug. O'Neal Cruz may have done something not that cool, but I just saw this 6'7" dude with like dreadlocks coming out of his hair. I was like, who the hell is this hitting like 115-mile-an-hour tanks in batting practice? Like, I need to know more about this guy. Picked him up in every single dynasty league I had, and he's a marvel. He's does this thing.
Oh, you know where you might have seen that?
Where?
You might have seen from when I went to Pirate spring training that year because we were living together, and
Yeah.
I specifically was like, I want to watch O'Neal Cruz take batting practice, and I took videos. I think posted it to Twitter. I was like, this guy's crazy. This is so nuts watching this guy hit.
Almost no one in baseball hits the ball harder than him, but he'll expand the strike zone a lot. He won't really take as many walks. He's striking out 35% of the time, walking 5% so far this year. On base percentage is 280, which is untenable. He's really fast because he's so huge, but he doesn't look that fast. He just takes 3 strides second base, and his defense is a little uneven, but he can uncork it like 100 miles an hour from shortstop. He's a true alien. And then also, I got to shout out Jared Jones. Jared Jones right now looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's still only 22 years old, high school guy the Pirates developed. Really the first jewel of this, as Ben Charrington has really remade the entire Pirates system here, pitch development system, farm system, everything. He's the first hit where people are like, fuck yeah, it's going to happen. Where he's throwing 100 miles an hour, crazy ride. He's got a slider, he's got a changeup, he's got a cutter. He's getting the most swings and misses almost in baseball, the most chases in baseball, some of the most strikeouts in baseball. 35% strikeout rate, 3% walk rate of Jared Jones so far this year. He's ridiculously disgusting. But the thing with that kind of repertoire for Jones, if you hit the ball, going to hit the ball. You put the ball in the bag against Jared Jones, it's going to leave the yard. He gives up a lot of home runs, and that's, I think, how the Mets can get to him and can win the series. Also, shout out Jack Swinsky. He's a beast.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm really excited that we're missing one pitcher and one pitcher only. You know who that is?
Is he not on the Major League team?
Did he just get sent down? No, he pitched the other day against the Phillies. Left-handed soft tosser that the Mets will never hit in their lifetime. Marco Gonzalez. We don't get to see him, thank God.
Went the IL today, actually.
Oh, he did? Okay, sorry about that, Marco, but glad we don't have to face you.
I thought you were talking about Paul Skeens because he's the best pitcher on this team, and he's not in the Major League.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to see Paul Skeens ever, so.
No, and also, one more shout-out to the Major League Baseball schedule because the Mets still are not playing another divisional team until the middle of May, so amazing nice. For that one. We're going to the West Coast, we got the Cardinals again home, and then we're still not going to play the fucking Phillies till the middle of May.
That's how you want it. That's how you want the schedules there. Shout out interleague play. James loves it.
I hate interleague play. Interleague play is such bullshit. Reline divisions, make them geographic, and then I want to play my rivals more. That'll save baseball.
Okay, James Shiano. That's what he's running on. Hunger strikes and realignment of divisions.
Yeah, go to the desert, find yourself Lisa Nagaib. Mets win another series.
Mets win another series, guys. We are pumped. We're so glad that you guys hung out with us for this hour or so on this episode. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We do have a review, though, right before we get off. And I saw it because I was checking to see how the boys were doing over here. And it actually is a good one. We got a positive one here. Unlike the last time that we read one. It said, even better. Since you guys left the Mets umbrella, the show has gotten even better. The analysis is honest, contemporary, and well thought out with visceral reactions. For an out-of-town fan, this is definitely a real pulse of the team. Thank you and keep it up. Shout out Brad, SD Mets fan, either San Diego or South Dakota. What's your pick?
I just want it to be South Dakota, so I'm going South Dakota. Yeah,
I'm going to go South Dakota as well. So, Brad, thank you so much for that awesome review. Again, if you guys ever want a shout out, drop us a review. Doesn't even have to necessarily be positive. I will tell you, we'll just read them as long as they're appropriate. But that's the episode. Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the YouTube version of this and see the crazy door that's behind James in his hotel room right now. What a design. So intricate. Very nice. Morocco. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And me at Draftnik Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace out. See you guys next time. Let's go Mets.